Hey, Nugget Nick here. Hello all. I went ahead and switched my table over to hydroponics. I was just hand watering them because I was able to keep the roots all nice and wet that way. But now the roots are growing out of the bottom of the cubes, so I want to make sure none of them ever dry out. So I'm doing 3 floods a day, and that should keep them pretty drenched all day. And then wanted to go over my things. I still got my light going. My RO water is coming out of the well at 47 degrees. I added a little pool heater or aquarium heater to it, and I brought it up to 63 yesterday, and it dropped. I unplugged it then, and it dropped to 60 overnight, and now it's back up to 61. So I think we won't be needing a heater very much. It's nice and warm in here usually, so got it unplugged, but I got it there just in case. Also got an air stone bubbling in there to keep the water fresh. Side note on that, you always want your air pump raised above your final water level. Wherever your water height is, you got to be above that. Otherwise, if the power goes out, be it you got unplugged or popped a breaker or didn't pay your power bill, whatever happens, it will create a reverse suction. Since it's blowing air in, it'll stop and the water will push the air back up the tube, and that'll create a draw, and you'll lose everything from your reservoir onto your floor. I speak from experience. Just a heads up if you wanted to do it. I got the water pump 400 gallon plugged into a timer. I got 3 waterings a day for 30 minutes each. It takes about 26 minutes to fill up my tray. And what I did is I kept adding water to my reservoir, just starting out, and then turning on the pump and filling the tray until it was full and that was empty. That way, if my timer stops working or anything like that, and the water keeps pumping, which these things do mess up from time to time, it's not gonna fill up too much and overflow. You know, this is a 100-gallon tank, but I've got 40 gallons of water in it. So if I had 50 gallons of water in it, then I'd be dumping 10 gallons on the ground if it messed up, and then I would have to fill it back up with water and partial nutrients and try to get my mixture back to right. So that covers that. So we got the hose from the pump coming into the top and wrapping around. Got it tied off. Those things like to flop out sometimes, but I got it wedged in a crack down there. And I got it tied off here. It's on a 400-gallon water pump. Got the timer, water heater just in case, not using it. I used it for a little bit. Only took a few hours to heat it up from 47 to 63, so it wasn't bad. Other than that, you know, you put your nutrients. I brought mine up to 800 parts per million in reverse osmosis water, which started it as 0, so I know that everything in there is what I did. I also covered the floor in cedar chips to keep the dust down. I wish I would have done it before I did the water, because there was a lot of dust that got in there, but I don't think it's gonna hurt it. I mean, I had cedar chips out with those plants all last year. So just a quick hydro lesson update. This is called an ebb and flow, or fill and drain. So the water doesn't get pumped back into here. It just, as you can see, got this hole, and it drains. It drains a little bit slower than the pump fills. That way it's not sitting in there for hours. It'll go up and then start draining as soon as the pump goes off, and then you don't have to worry about drowning your plants ever unless something gets in there and plugs your hole. But if you're a grower, you should be checking on your plants at least once a day, and that shouldn't be a problem. The water is actually very aerated because of the hose and the air pump, and the waterfall creates, you know, lots of aeration. So these things are getting very aerated water. The roots really love it. Okay, Nugget Nick out.